The title says it all. If you're new here, my name is Lisa and I make gardening and nature videos on YouTube. Today we are diving into the world of manure. I am so excited to share with you my recent purchase. I'm going to start with just giving you a quick little look. So I am in a very interesting location. I live in suburbia, in the middle of the city, essentially. Yet there is a farm in my neighborhood, which is super interesting. And I decided to give it a little visit a few days ago. And it is a sheep farm, which is very fun. I decided to call the number on the fence. And what did I buy? I bought sheep manure. So it's an older lady who runs this farm, and she said the sheep manure was aged. Now, I have never used sheep manure before. I have used I've used a lot of manures: horse manure, rabbit manure, chicken manure, mushroom manure, and most of those were commercial. I have used home based rabbit manure and home based chicken manure. This is my first time ever using sheep manure. So, in your opinion, she said this was aged. So, I don't know. I think she's right, but I didn't ask enough questions. I didn't ask how long it was aged for, but at this point, it doesn't matter. So she gave me, or I paid for, 3 bags of aged sheep manure, but she also gave me a complimentary bag of free unaged sheep manure. I want to show you the difference. Before we get to the nitty gritty digging, we're going to compare the fresh manure to the aged manure. So here we have what she's calling the aged manure. And take a good look at it. And this here is the unaged. I guess there is a substantial difference because you can see what I'm assuming is the bedding for the sheep in there or something or other, versus this is pretty much just the poops. It is more dry. I should have asked the question, how long has it been aged for? But at this point, it doesn't matter. So what is it? We're talking about sheep manure today. I am an avid gardener, and adding poop to your garden, now not necessarily human and not necessarily from animals that are carnivores, but if you have a cow or your access to cow manure, horse manure, sheep manure, rabbit manure, hens, like chicken manure, any of that kind of stuff, it's gold for your garden. Hello, Junior, Mary A222, Lulu, King Shorts. Welcome to the manure live stream, and I am about to drop poop on myself. This is sheep manure, in case you didn't see the thumbnail. What I have in my right hand is unaged, and in my left hand is aged. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to add this to my vegetable garden. I'm currently on Vancouver Island. Oops, I did drop poop on myself. We're not going to, gonna need a shower after this live stream, and that will not be live. So next, I'm going to show you how I'm going to add this to my garden. This is a brand new vegetable bed that I created this year on this new property. You guys can see, I'm going to give you kind of an overview. So these are the bags where the manure is, the manure that I dropped on myself. And I'm going to be not mixing it straight into the garden. I'm mixing it with some leaves, you can see here. And in here, there's some, let's call them branches. So when I constructed this bed, this was just done this last fall going into winter going to this year. This is a bottomless bed. So you can see it's made of wood and there's no fabric or anything on the bottom. It's just a structure to keep everything together, but nothing on the bottom. So my plan is to dig a trench. I did this on my last property, fairly deep into this raised box, and that is where the fresh manure is going to go. We're going to mix it with the leaves and the branch material. What state do you live in? I'm on Vancouver Island in Canada. Hey, and check it out. Oh my God, this bird, I've been in the garden doing a different project all day. It's swear it's been following me around. It literally, I don't know if you saw it. I turned the camera so I couldn't see. I tried to show you the starling. It's literally been following me around for 4 hours straight. And at one point it was so close I could almost touch it. I don't know what's up with this bird, but it's being very friendly today. Hello from Israel. Welcome. I'm going to show you how I'm using poop in my garden. This is sheep poop. This is not mine. This is not human. And I'm going to start digging. So I've got a bunch of supplies. If you're wondering, I don't know if you can see it on camera, I took a whole bunch of dirt out of this vegetable box this morning. I have another project. I filmed it. It involves wildflowers. It's a little secret in my quote unquote ugly part of the garden. And you're going to see that on Garden Tour Saturday, and I made a special video about it, but I was repurposing some garden soil for that. But we're going to get to digging in the poop. So, I got my handy shovel, and I'm going to see if I can lower the camera so you can see more of a soil view of the camera. Garden. Is that better? That might be better. You're on a tripod, in case you're wondering. And if you're wondering about the hat, it was actually scorching hot and sunny earlier, and the clouds came in, and I just decided not to take my hat off. Yesterday I got sunburned out here, so I decided to be smart and wear a hat today. Oh gosh, I gotta show you the worms for all of my worm lovers. I took a lot of worms out when I did my soil repurposing, but check out this worm. I just dug him up. He's a good size. Getting on his worm action. And we gotta get back to digging these holes. The rain is just starting, which is perfect for all the seeds I just put out. Not here, but in my special project. I see worms, more worms that I haven't showed you, but we gotta get to digging this manure in. So this is like a modified version of trench composting in the springtime instead of in the fall or winter when I would traditionally do my trench composting. I didn't actually do any really in this garden since I moved here and started creating these beds. I did dig in some vegetable scraps, seaweed, and I think that's it actually during the winter. And every time I have cantaloupe, I put the seeds out here, so I might have some stray cantaloupes in my secret area, but that's for another discussion. So I'm pretty much at the bottom of the box now in this one particular spot. I'm going to show you what it looks like. There's the tiniest bit of gravel, I think, coming up from below. I don't think the camera's going to capture it, but this is the depth. We're going to turn the camera around. So this is the hole that I just dug, and I'm going to put in a layer of manure, a layer of leaves, a layer of branches, cover with a layer of soil, and repeat. It's basically making a lasagna in the soil. So I'm going to put this back down. I'm going to lower you even lower. See if you can see more of a ground view. It's hard when you are the camera person, the person on camera, and you don't have any assistance. That worm, holy smokes, it's way over here now, and is it ever long? So I'm going to start actually with the fresh manure instead of the aged, to get that into the garden. So this is what it looks like. And you know, I have to say, I didn't know what to think of the smell. I always like to analyze garden smells. So when I used fresh horse manure in the fall winter, I got that at a horse farm. I was in love with that smell. Like, that is good smelling manure. This, okay, I'm not in love with it, but I don't hate it. It's totally fine. It's nothing like a horse manure smell. Like, that is such a good aphrodisiac. This is just, it's okay. It's not bad. The only manure I must say that I don't particularly love fresh is cow manure. If it's aged, it's good, but fresh, not so good. But this is fine. I don't know how fresh, but I think it's pretty fresh. Like, it seems pretty fresh. I just got this at the farm maybe 3 days ago, 4 days ago. I can't even remember now. And this lady, I gotta tell you this story about the farm lady. She was so cool. She's in her 70s and she runs a sheep farm by herself, which is so inspiring. And she's been doing it for years. She was a nurse. I'm a nurse, so I could relate to her. And she doesn't have any help. Like, she is so physically fit. These manure bags are actually pretty heavy. She repurposes people's garden soil bags. I'm going to return them to her, actually. And sells manure in them, which I think is so awesome. And even more awesome to be in your 70s and running a sheep farm by yourself as a lady, which is so cool. And she told me the most interesting story. She has all these fruit trees on her property and a bunch of food producing things as well as the sheep. And she told me she's into canning. And she was trying to get me interested in canning. I've never done canning. And she says she has food in her house from 1984 still. Like, I am mind blown. I was born in 1984. And she's still eating it, and it was canned. And I was like, are you, like, wow, like, I'd never heard of that before. Like, what about expiry date? That is, like, very ancient canned material, and she's still eating it. I didn't actually ask her what is in the cans, but I'm planning to go back to her place. So if we talk about canning again, I'm probably going to ask her, like, what kind of food did you can that you've had for that many years and you're still eating it? Fresh is wet, cured is dry. Mike, some you can use right away, like rabbit and sheep. Cow and chicken needs to be cured. You're right. I actually Googled because I wasn't sure about sheep. And it does say it's one of the ones you should let it kind of age. So that's what I'm doing. I don't know if you can see this. I can't see what the camera can see. So I gotta flip it around and show you what I'm doing. So at the bottom, I have the fresh sheep manure, just one layer. Then I've added, some of these are arbutus tree branches. And then I have arbutus leaves somewhat crushed. We're gonna put a layer of soil on top, and then we're gonna repeat like a lasagna. That is how I trench compost. Now, I usually do this in the fall, so we'll see how the growing season goes, but I think it's gonna be good. I'm not planting any root vegetables here. I am only going to plant things that are either vines, things like cucumbers, cantaloupes, watermelons, potentially things like tomatoes, but definitely not any rooting crops. So I will be planting potatoes, but not in this section. They're gonna go somewhere else. I just feel like if there's any hope of this garden being super good, super successful, stay away from rooting vegetables. Only do vines or taller things. So now we're going to put a layer of soil on top of what we just dug in. And in case you missed it, how this bed was made was not with soil. This was scraps. I dug out, and my parents helped, a whole bunch of flower beds, and people often ask, neighbors were asking me, what do you do with the grass afterwards? Well, this is what I did with the grass. You can see what it looks like now. This was from anywhere from last November until about now, what it looks like. It was basically all stacked in here, and I just let it decompose. The only thing I did was I bought one container of a substance called Rodent. It's an organic compound. I bought it at Canadian Tire, and only one for this huge area. And I also put it in my compost bin. So most of the material has broken down, but you can see what's left. It's actually not that much. So basically this was all free soil that I got from my creating flower beds around the property, which is so exciting. And we're just gonna cover it up with some soil and then we're going to repeat the process. And I'm going to continue using up the fresh manure. Oh, this is not the fresh one. Where did my fresh one go? So I'm putting the aged in. The fresh manure first before I get into the aged one. And I am thinking about going back to the farm. I can't remember if I said that already, but I may want some more manure, and I definitely want to return these bags to her because she loves to repurpose things, which is so good for the environment and good for my garbage can too. So I also don't enjoy the recycling depot that much, so I won't have to go that often if I make sure that I'm putting waste products where they can be reused. So, has anyone here ever used manure in their garden, and what kind of manure did you use? I am so curious. You know what, this manure has got me thinking about other types of manure, and maybe around the world people can comment on this if you're not from Canada. Maybe they do this in different places, but things like ostrich manure, things like emu manure, donkey manure, zebra manure, I never see weird stuff like that on the market, and I'm wondering why. Is it just so, like, I mean, ostrich and emus, they're across North America. And donkeys, would that just be part of horse manure? I don't know. But there's other animals that you don't necessarily see commonly as manures, and I'm wondering why. What am I doing? Well, if you want the simple answer, I'm playing with manure. I'm adding it to my vegetable garden. This is sheep manure. I have never seen that for sale on the market anywhere. I got this at a local farm in my neighborhood, and I don't know why certain manures aren't mainstream. Like chicken manure is mainstream, cow manure, somewhat horse manure, although not often. I usually get that at farms. But why are these other animals not mainstream manures? I am so curious. I don't know. Maybe it's not, maybe you don't make enough money selling those manures, but I don't know why. Like, why would you make more money selling cow manure than, say, sheep manure? I don't know. It's an interesting concept. Oh my god, there's another giant worm that came out. Let me show you this one. Worm castings. Yes! Check it out. I showed you one earlier. This guy just popped out. He is a good size. Holy smokes, I kind of want to pick him up. I'm not trying to torment him, but let's just see how long he is. He's a pretty good size worm. Just doing his worm duties. We'll put him back. There's a lot of worms in this garden. I'm kind of surprised. I didn't realize that this soil, which was primarily grass for the most part, would have so many worms in it. We use chicken poop for heavy feeders like corn. I have used chicken before too. It is really good. So out of all the manures I've used cow manure, horse manure, mushroom manure, rabbit manure. What else did I use? I can't remember them all now. But my favorite manure, if I had to pick a favorite, we're not talking sea soil, just manure, I would say hands down is rabbit manure. Rabbit manure is so awesome. And now that we're talking about this, how do you pronate? Honestly, I don't know what that means. Is there another word you can use? Because I don't know what that is. Maybe that's a term related to this that I'm unfamiliar with. I was thinking about llamas. How come nobody uses llama manure or alpaca manure? I have a feeling that would be really good and fertile stuff. Like, I mean, there's all those slipper companies that use those kind of materials in their slippers, but why not the poop? I mean, the animals poop. There's got to be companies that do that, you would think. I don't know. It's a fascinating topic. So we're just going to cover again, and I'll give you another little look at how it's going. I think what I'm gonna do actually is just a thin layer of poop. We're gonna cover with soil, and then we're gonna move down the garden bed and dig another trench. Do you protect vegetables against snails? That is a very good question, and I am new to snails. My last property didn't have any, and this one has a family of snails in my vegetable garden. And no, I have not been protecting them. I let them eat my crops, and that's okay. There's enough for me and the snails. The farmers probably keep for themselves. That's possible. Now, that's a very, very good possibility now that you mention that. Maybe the people who have these animals are also into food growing and they just use it for their own production. That's possible. Maybe they're not into selling manures. Copper tape. Yeah, I guess that is a good slug solution. Should probably use the shovel. That would probably be faster. What the heck is that? A few more branches. I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done covering up my hole, and then we're digging another trench. I really can't see through the text what you can actually see on the camera. Like, kind of cuts off like here, so I see the text, but I don't see my ground level. So I can't really see what you see, other than my upper body. So I'm very curious, has anyone ever had a negative experience using manure? Whether it wasn't aged properly, or you burned your plants, or you killed your plants? And if you have, tell me what kind of manure. I'm very curious. I don't think in my history of gardening I've ever screwed anything up with manure, but it's definitely possible. There's a chemical in small slime that reacts to copper. Snails hate it. Good to know. Of course, it only works to keep out. Gotta remove the ones in the bed. Very true. Oh, this section has more of that grass material that hasn't broken down. So what I often do when I'm digging is I just break it into a couple more pieces to help it break down faster. Okay, I can show you the bottom of the bed. I have more gravel. I don't know if the camera will actually capture it, but we'll try. So this is a brand new raised bed if you're just joining in, constructed this season, never been planted in before, made of grass that was recycled from flower beds. And I'm going to show you the bottom. So this is a bottomless vegetable box. And it was gravel originally on the ground. So we just dug it up. And I'm trying not to fall in the hole. So you can see I basically dug, I think, towards the base of the bottom. I'm not 100% certain. It could have just been gravel mixed in the soil, but it might be the base. I'm not sure. So now we're going to repeat with more manure, more leaves, and actually, speaking of which, I have compost in my house. I totally forgot about that. I'm going to put you guys down for I won't be gone for 2 minutes, but I'm just going to leave the live stream going because I don't want to stop and reset. So you can view my garden while I'm gone, and I'm gonna bring my raw kitchen waste and we're gonna compost that together in my trenching method. So I'll show you how that's done. I just have to go get my bin. I totally forgot about that. So there you go. I'll be back in about 2 minutes or less. Put a timer on if you like. I'm back. It's just a little bin, but I'm gonna show you what my kitchen waste looks like. And we're gonna do some more trench lasagna composting with it. A memory that always makes you smile. Oh my gosh, I have too many. I'm gonna tell you an interesting story. Now, it kind of makes me smile and it kind of weirds me out actually, but I will get going and I'll tell you this story. So I've been going to the beach fairly often to gather supplies for my garden. So I often pick up stones for my rock garden, and I've been collecting logs sometimes at the beach. And I was there yesterday and I had a 5-gallon pail with me. And I noticed this woman with her dog, and she was at a great distance down the beach, but I swear she was staring at me. And as I walked by, she said hello, I think as if she knew me, which was kind of weird, but sometimes I get that. So I politely said hello back, continued walking down the beach to where I know the bigger stones are. And I was just collecting my rocks, minding my own business, and just hung out down the beach, sat on a log for a while because I was like, this woman is a little strange. She seems like she's looking at me all the time, but I don't really know why. So I did my thing, and then I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to stay here forever. I got up, took my rocks in my pail, walked back towards my car, and she stops me on the beach. And I was like, this is getting a little weird. And she's like, oh, are you into creative projects? And I was like, yes, I'm always doing something creative. So then she's like, what are you creating? So I told her about my rock garden, and then I showed her a little video clip I made of my rock garden, and she just loved that. But the whole thing was kind of weird because I was like, who does that? This random lady, I don't want to say stalking, but almost like borderline stalking behavior. But in the end, it was like kind of a fun, happy story, but very weird. It was like such a weird thing. But that was kind of the experience. She was delighted that I was making a rock garden for cats. And she was clearly an animal lover. She had a dog. But the whole thing was just rather strange. Okay, now let's get into the kitchen waste. So this is the bin I went to get. And let's just analyze it a little bit before it goes in with the manure and the sticks. So the number one ingredient in my kitchen waste is tea bags. I drink a lot of tea, and if you're new to gardening or composting, definitely compost your tea bags. Totally worth it. So I'm going to show you what I do. Let's get a little closer here. I'm going to see if I can put you in the hole with me. Is that going to work? We're going to put the tripod down because I do something with my tea bags. Now, this is not what most people do. Maybe I have to take it off the tripod. That's kind of we're going to try not to do that. So basically what I do is I break them open. So if you've never broken up your tea bags, that's what it looks like inside. The whole thing will decompose even on its own. But I find if you do this kind of like supercharges the decomposition process. So I like to individually most of the time I just split them open. So I'll come out and dig in my compost. I'll be out here for a while, and that's just kind of a thing. I have a lot of eggshells. I eat eggs every single day, so I just crush them like this and literally just let them go into the soil. And sometimes I have oatmeal packages, you know, those little ready to go oatmeals. So what do we do with those? We just shred them and let them go in the soil. And yes, I'm going to show you what this looks like before we go on to the manure stage. And there we have my cantaloupe pieces. I've been talking about cantaloupe quite a bit. They are going in. We're going to break open another tea bag, put that into the mix. And we have a little strawberry top, a few of those. They're going in. Don't forget, in case everyone uses tissues. These are compostable. You got a good amount of carbon right here in a tissue. Paper towels are compostable. Paper is compostable. Now here's a tip. If you have confidential papers, of course shred them. But if you are worried about your information and you are a gardener, you take this one step further. You can do one of two things. First of all, you can compost them. So shred that material that is confidential and then compost it. It's never going to be found once it's composted. Secondly, if you don't like that, have a fireplace or a fire pit. Burn that sucker. Ashes are actually awesome compost as long as you're not putting weird stuff in like plastics or anything like that. If you're using wood, paper, anything like that that is organic based, great for the garden. Ashes are awesome. So we're going to continue putting more, whoops, we got to shred these eggshells. We don't want to put them in. We can do them unshredded, but oh my god, the bird is back. This bird has literally, it was right beside me a minute ago. I don't think I can zoom in. And apparently it brought a friend just now. These two little starlings have been stalking me today. But let's get back to this little trench we're designing here. Oh dear, shoot. I turned the volume. Oh my god, I don't know what you guys can hear, but when I took the camera off the tripod, the volume just went up to like full capacity. So I don't know if that's my phone volume or if it's the live stream volume. So if I'm screaming, I am sorry, because I keep turning it down and it keeps automatically shooting back up. So maybe I did something really bad when I took it off, but that was not intentional. So what we're gonna do next, I'm gonna show you what this is looking like before we do another layer. And hopefully I don't press any more buttons that I shouldn't be pressing. Let's see, turn the camera around. So this is the bottom layer of the trench. We are going to put some leaves on there, some branches, and manure, and then we're gonna add the soil layer. So if you're new here, I recently took down an arbutus tree. I know that is sad. They're protected trees. I did have permission. Had so much yard debris, and I'm incorporating some of that into my garden. I also saved many pieces for garden decor. And yeah, it's sad, but you know what? I've already planted a replacement tree, so it's all good. You take some, you leave some for nature. So these are what arbutus tree leaves look like. So what I'm going to do, these are dried out. They baked in my back area for a long time. I'm just going to crush them and let them fall into the trench. And I will show you what this looks like when we're at the next stage. So we're crushing these leaves. They're breaking down really nicely. You could do this in a mulcher if you have one. I got rid of my mulcher when I moved, so oh good, I do branches bottom and then the rest on top. Your sound volume didn't change. Oh awesome, thank you so much. I didn't know that. So we're putting a layer of leaves, then we're going to do a little layer of branches. These are cut up arbutus branches. And I'll show you a quick overview of what we're looking like. before we put manure down. Oh boy, shoot. So that's what my trench is looking like. We have compost on the bottom, then we have leaves, branches. We're going to top with manure and then top with soil before we repeat the cycle. So next we're doing more of that fresh sheep manure. This is actually kind of hard on my back. I didn't anticipate that. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I'm not sitting in the garden, I'm just kneeling down, but I don't really want to sit on the ground. Sometimes I do, but not interested in that today. So here's the unaged sheep manure. Once again, we're going to put a layer of that into the trench. And I'm going to do that throughout this whole box, this layering process. And I am so curious to see how the vegetables and fruits are going to do in here this season. This is such an experiment with the sheep manure, but that's what gardening is all about. It is all about experiments. So I'll give you another look at what it looks like, and then we're going to do a layer of soil. So we have, you can see a little bit of the leaves still. This is the fresh sheep manure, and I'm going to cover with a layer of soil. And it is just starting to rain. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this, show you guys, and then I'm probably going to end the live stream because I got to, let's just say, work a little faster, a little harder before the rain really starts coming down. And if you have been around for a while or you're new here, welcome. My name is Lisa. I make gardening and nature videos on YouTube. And I have 2 videos already filmed. I just have not edited them yet. So that is why this video is live. I didn't want to have a third video on my phone to edit. So there will be more videos in the future. But live streams are fun too because it kind of gives a little more interaction with the audience, which is always nice. Hey Howie! Oh my goodness, you're just joining in now. I was thinking of calling it quits, but because you are here, I'm going to dig one more trench just for you. If you're new to gardening, food, forest, permaculture, Howie is a permaculture king on YouTube. He lives in Victoria, British Columbia, has an amazing food forest, and supports people who don't have much. They don't have much income or no income, like homeless people, all that kind of stuff. So that is so lovely. A lovely earthling has joined the chat. So just for you, Howie, we're gonna do one more trench. I was literally going to not do any more on camera, but I will do one more because you joined in. I've done 2 so far, and since you're new here, this is sheep manure that I'm putting into my new raised vegetable box. So we're gonna dig one more trench to decide where I want to start digging. This whole thing is gonna get manureized, but so I had actually started another project I talked about earlier, kind of secret. There's a video for that I harvested some soil from this bed. And the lady who's the sheep farmer, I called her because I was like, I need to get more manure. But unfortunately, when I called, it said the number was no longer in service, which is a little bit disturbing to me because this is a lady in her 70s, and I just phoned that number not even a week ago, and it worked. So I'm probably gonna have to knock on her door and make sure everything's okay. I'm not gonna do that right now, but it's on my list because I didn't like that. I called 3 times to make sure I got the number right, and it didn't go through. So I hope everything's okay with her. Can you upload the live stream as a video? is this possible here on YouTube? Yes and no. I'm not an expert with the YouTube behind the scenes stuff. The only thing I know how to do is take a clip from a live stream and turn it into shorts. I think you can. Yes, you can. If you're using a computer, you can download any video that you create. You can edit it and re-upload it. There are people that do that. I am not a computer editor person, but you can definitely do that if you're on a computer. The functions of YouTube are different on computer versus phone, as well as editing. So I use the phone. I'm all about the phone for video production, but you can definitely do that if you're into computers. So we're just gonna come over here and start digging another hole, trench, whatever you want to call it. And I may have just decapitated a couple worms. I'm hoping not, but I did put a shovel where maybe the shovel shouldn't have gone. Maybe I created a worm family with that. I don't know. Oops. So, this time I'm going to do, what am I planting? I'm not planting anything. I am actually amending my brand new raised bed with sheep manure. It's my first time using sheep manure, and I will be planting here in probably a few weeks, and I'll be planting vine crops and tall things, but no leafy greens and no root vegetables, because I am using manure that is not properly aged. Some of it is fresh and some of it is aged, but not aged that well. So I won't be planting any root crops like potatoes, beets, anything like that is not going in this box, but there will be a space for it. So I dug my trench, and this time I'm gonna go with your method, Mike. I'm gonna put branches on the bottom, manure on the top, vegetables on top of the manure, leaves on top of the vegetables, and soil on the top. So we're switching up the order of nutrition into the soil. Starting with the branches. These are from my arbutus tree, Howie, in case you missed that part. We're just gonna sprinkle some of those on to the hole. And then we're putting manure on top. And this is from a local sheep farmer. And this is what fresh manure looks like if you're new here. Fresh sheep manure is, I showed at the very beginning of the live stream, it's different than the so-called aged. So this is aged here, at least claimed to be aged, and this is fresh. So there is a difference. I don't think it's a substantial difference. I don't think it's aged in the traditional sense, but definitely some difference. So we're gonna sprinkle the manure on top of the branches. And next, gonna put the leaves on next. This is arbutus leaves. We're just gonna crush them, put them into the hole. And on top of that, this time I'm gonna put just like a little sprinkle of soil. And then we're gonna put vegetables, and then we're gonna put more soil. So we've got my vegetable bin again. Eggshells, crush those up. And here's a handful. I'm gonna open up that tea bag. And if you're a coffee drinker and you use a standard coffee machine, don't forget to keep those coffee grinds for your garden. Coffee grinds are so awesome. And if you aren't a coffee drinker and you happen to live in a location where there's a Starbucks, I'm assuming this is universal and not just local, but our local Starbucks actually has a little bag in a little basket that says for gardeners, and it's a whole bag of coffee grinds. I did that at my old property many times. I got the gardener special. It's free, totally free. And it's so nice that Starbucks does that. Coffee grinds are nitrogen, yes. So, this time I'm being a little bit more brutal with my composting, but I'm still opening up the tea bags as much as possible. I'll show you my hole in a minute. So, taking you off the tripod. Okay, every time I do that, the volume control comes on. This is what we're looking like. Leaves, and then we have the vegetable scraps. And now we are going to cover with a layer of soil. So how is everyone's vegetable planting going this season? I know I am epically behind. I've never been so behind on my planting. Other than my milk jugs, I haven't planted much. I planted peas, spinach, but it's because I've been creating this brand new property makeover. It's been taking up all of my time. Normally I'm a little too ahead of the game, and then my crops sometimes freeze in the cool temperatures, but I'm really behind. How is everyone else doing with their planting? Nights are still cold here too. Yes, here, I don't know the conversion, but it was 6 degrees Celsius this morning into Fahrenheit, but pretty chilly still for a lot of summer weather crops. But I have to say the daytime temperatures in the last several days have been like 23 degrees, 26 degrees. Really, really warm during the day, but still dropping during the night, which makes for a little bit challenging in the garden. But in case you missed my milk jug video, I said I didn't have a ton of sprouts. Some yes, some no. 99% of my milk jugs now have things growing in them, and I am so excited. I have started putting them in the landscape, but there's many more to come. Some of them are flowers, some of them are food, all kinds of stuff that I've never been able to grow is now growing in my milk jugs. And I am so excited. Nights need to be 12 degrees Celsius for me to plant. You are very smart, Howie, and I should probably follow that logic. So, I'm going to show you one last time what I have done. This is going to look much better when it's all finished, but I need to speed things up with the rain that is on its way. And that is meaning no more camera time. So I'm going to show you my hole, and then we're going to call it a day. And that volume adjustment, every time I take the phone off the tripod, the volume changes. So here it is. I've covered it all up, and I have a lot of work ahead. So thank you so much for joining me for my little manure poopy live stream. It's been so much fun. And I'm going to show you the full results on Garden Tour Saturday. If you're new here, Garden Tour Saturday is a collaboration with many garden channels on YouTube. Grandma Sandy was the creator, and there are many channels that participate, and we all do garden tours, and we try to film them on Saturday. Sometimes it's Sunday or Friday, but that is what Garden Tour Saturday is. So thank you so much for stopping by, and we will see you soon. 2 more videos planned. Filmed. They're already filmed, not edited. I have a forest bathing video coming soon, and I have a special project that I have not talked about or shown that I just finished on my ugly part of the property, and I'm so excited to share it with you. So that is coming soon. I just have to get in my house and edit them, but I have so many projects to work on that might take a while. I hope you are having a lovely day, evening, or night, and we will see you probably later in the week. Okay, bye-bye.